we got to tackle this water system. So I've loosened this up. I've got a bucket down there to catch water.
Evacuation beginning.
I'm gonna go ahead and remove this because I need to know what size that is so I can get the appropriate plug and all that good stuff. So I gotta know what size it is, and we're gonna go and run the hose down there.
Evacuation complete. Evacuation complete.
We're gonna put our oil return in. You can see I marked the hole right there. No, I'm not taking the oil pan off the car, and for those of you who've been watching these series, you know why. Because it's basically an engine out job.
That's all I have to say about that.
And so we're gonna take every precaution that we can to keep the oil in the system and the shavings out.
Right, that'll work.
And then once we do this, we're gonna go ahead and drain all the oil, obviously, and flush everything to make sure that there aren't any shavings in there. But we're gonna do everything we can to keep the shavings out during the process. And I'll walk you through how I'm gonna do that.
Right over here.
So we're going to use this drill bit right here, and we're going to cover it with grease so that it catches all the shavings. And that's going to capture all of the shavings and hold it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use this right here.
Well, I guess that makes sense.
And this is going to keep us from pushing our drill bit too far into the oil pan.
That's what she said.
And possibly catching something like the tray or
These nuts. Got him.
you know, any other lines or anything that might be in there. Now, I'm pretty sure the location we're drilling is clean. I've seen lots of them mounted here. However, better safe than sorry.
Gross.
We want everything to work exactly the way it's supposed to. So now, all we have to do is go ahead and drill our hole.
See what now?
Now we're going to try to drill our hole as parallel as possible. And you notice on the tray, it has a slight angle. We want to go straight in like that, so that when our oil comes down, it goes as straight in.
Head on, apply directly to the forehead.
Or even slightly angled up as we possibly can.
Nice, very nice.
So that's going to be a little difficult, but we're going to try to do the best we can. Going pretty good. You can see how we're catching a lot of that in there.
Michael, you know better than that.
I'm gonna kind of go a little farther, then I'm gonna clean this out. And I'm just gonna keep going slowly.
Okay, nice and slow, Dr. Jones.
That is way too much pressure!
He's gonna blow.
We got a bleeder!
Okay, so we broke through. I need something to catch this with.
We thought we were ready for this, but clearly we aren't.
Now, needless to say, we want to finish this before that oil stops coming out, because if we get any shavings, I'm just gonna pull them out.
Well,
We're waiting.
A few moments later.
All right, next we're going to use a stepper bit to make the hole the right size. We're just going to oil up our stepper bit, or grease up our stepper bit, the same as we did for our other one, to potentially catch anything that we can.
Some lube would be nice.
And we're going to go one step.
What's the worst that could happen?
Oh, God.
Now, it seems like we are very, very close.
Oh, where's this heading?
Yep, I think we're there. So we just need to grease this up. Now you can see with all the oil coming out how unlikely it is that we got any shavings in. But we are going to flush it for sure.
No, 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 no.
And you want to go in, then you want to go out a quarter turn, and then you want to go in about a half turn.
Giggity giggity. Giggity goo.
We are making a big mess here, for sure.
Now that was what I call a sticky situation.
But all that oil coming out almost guarantees that shavings are not going in.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
And there we go. Should have a hole
Giggity goo ga.
big enough for our bung.
My bunghole will not wait. Bunghole. Bunghole.
Find out. There we go. Now have an oil return. Woohoo! It's not as parallel as I would hope, but it should be acceptable. We'll wait for this to all drain out and we'll clean everything up. We'll be in good shape. Put our hoses on.
Clean yourself up.
That's a big hose.
Yeah. He loves the big hose.
What you talking about, Willis?
Goes all the way down to the floor. There you go. Done. Throw some glue on it. Don't you need the clamp to go on first?
Yeah, I'm gonna need a clamp.
Yep. Look at that. That's a long. And what are you doing here?
Removing the oil pressure line. We're gonna reconfigure this so we have a better possibility that it isn't gonna leak.
Think that would be bad.
Because right now, I can almost 100% guarantee that the way this stuff is all configured up, it's going to leak. We also have this cable that runs all over here and feeds the turbo with oil that runs to the same conglomerate. And we're going to replace that line and fix some of this stuff up so that hopefully it'll work better. So this is the oil temperature line. And so these wires that I'm marking go to the gauges on the inside of the car so that you can see our oil temperature and our oil pressure.
Finally, some room. Barely, but the whole thing's coming off.
Well, this is exactly why this needs to be streamlined.
Right.
This is just going to be a freaking mess. We know what's going to be a mess. I mean,
yeah. 1, 2, 3. Hook up 3 different.
Yeah. Plus this, the way this is set up, you could see it runs through the hole.
Right.
So it's kind of blocking the hole, and it's like,
Whose fault is that? It's not my fault.
yeah, I don't know if that. So this all has to get set up better.
All right. So you got that one off, and now you're taking the main piece off that everything's connected to it.
Well, actually,
No?
It's the first one.
Well, the first one. Gotcha. Nice. That's a lot of pieces, dude.
Yeah, that's why it's pretty much guaranteed
To leak.
to leak.
I was gonna say, did you break that free enough?
No, this has to. This part has to come off.
Right. There you go.
That's the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Sure doesn't feel like it.
It is. It's just super tight down there.
So the plan is to streamline this. Make this line, this ridiculous, huge, goofy line, more.
Feed it through that way. There you go. There you go. Yeah, it don't need to be that long.
So we're gonna make this line make more sense.
Assume, so don't screw it up.
We're gonna use quality stuff, so it's not, yeah. That's the plan. We also have another connector for our fuel pressure sensor, which now has disappeared. So we're gonna use that too. Oh,
Squirrel!
hey, there's a thingy down there.
You're not talking about that right there, are you?
No, this is the boost gauge.
Yeah.
No, the fuel pressure sensor was the first thing I took off.
5 minutes later.
Oh, here it is. It's right there.
Alright, so this, theoretically, could screw right into here. That's what it's supposed to do.
Where did you have it before? I thought that's where you had it. No?
Yeah, no, this is where I had the oil coming directly off of.
Oh, gotcha.
And that's what I'm gonna probably have to do again.
You sure?
All sorts of connections and
Those.
proper hose
There's some hoes in this house.
to be able to make what we want instead of what's already there. So this right here is where our pressure, our fuel pressure gauge will now go.
On, you schnorrers! Do something!
I wonder if the same thread is on the...
There you go.
Alright, so that's good.
No, some of these parts aren't going back on, right?
Well, no, I don't really want any of these plumbing parts
Right.
back on there unless it's absolutely necessary. The big question is this the same thread as this?
Don't touch me.
I feel like it is, but obviously that's not enough purchase.
Right.
And I would much rather it have its own fitting.
Right.
It's going to work properly with everything else. This was originally in here, and that makes perfect sense.
You sure about that?
But didn't you say it blocked the flow?
Well, it kind of can, but
I give up.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to get away without using at least one of these.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't just say what I think he did he?
I think at the end of the day, inevitably, what I'm going to need to do is just get the right fittings for this.
Smooth move, ain't that?
Because I don't like the idea of using all of these janky connections. So inevitably, how I had this set up before, How I'm gonna manage to do that, I'm not totally 100% sure. But what I'd like to do, because this is meant to fit that.
Right.
Which is the original. So essentially this is meant to be a coupler. This is the original oil pressure thing, which is now basically just acting as a stopper. So essentially this is what we have. So here we've got our oil temperature sensor right here, and we have our, this is going to be the output that goes to the top of the turbo to feed oil. So this goes in that hole right there. You may or may not be able to see it. But that's where it goes. We're going to try to get it in there, see how this works. It's very close to the firewall, which makes this difficult.
2 hours later.
So there we go, we got it in. Tightened up real nice. I'm pretty happy with it. So next, we gotta get our lines set up. In order to do that, we're probably gonna pull some of this stuff off here, clean this up, fix some tubing, that sort of stuff. Make sure that all of our vacuum lines are run properly for the final assembly. So let's get to doing that. We've got our oil pressure sensor right here, and I think I'm going to connect it right here. So we've got our oil pressure and our oil temperature coming out right here.
I can almost see it.
And then we're going to go like this down across here, and then we're going to go like this over to our turbo. So that's the plan. So we need to cut some hose and create some fittings to make this happen. Okay, so how this works is you just pull this off. And you can see there's a lip in there.
Oh boy, oh boy.
So you just want to
Peter, you don't have to spy on me.
put your
Oh boy, no fooling? Oh boy!
hose all the way up to the lip.
Wait a minute. Something's happening to my pants.
That's all right, Peter. It just means you're excited.
But I forget.
And then this goes inside there, pushes the hose out. It'll be inside the hose, so it'll grip it in there.
Shh, 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 shh. That's okay. I'll show you. Just follow my lead.
And you just want to make sure that it doesn't push that out. And now we've gotten to the point where it's tight,
What's the worst that could happen?
so we're going to move it over here to the vise.
Oh, and boom goes the dynamite.
So we've got one half of this line made. Now we're going to make another half. Going to use this fitting right here. Works the same way.
Later.
Got our first AN hose made. All right, so we got this turbo basically back in here. Just got to tighten it up.
Tight, yeah!
All the lines are now in and ready to go to be plumbed up. So we've got our water line here. It's going to be plumbed in here. And here is the water line for this side right here.
Oh, it's super easy.
And then we have our oil line. We have to make one more segment of that here, and then the other one runs underneath for the drain. So all of our lines are set up. All of our vacuum stuff is in and ready to go. It has all been tested. So we just got to get this on here.
Sure, Jan.
All right, so we've got our water inlet all hooked up. Our water outlet is all hooked up. We need to create one more hose that's going to go from here. This is our oil pressure sensor. to here. And then we have our oil outlet on the bottom there. I have to hook that up later. But let's get the rest of this stuff all tightened in and ready to go.
Don't forget! Nah, you're not gonna forget.
We just have to make one more line. And then our turbo is ready to go. Well, that's on. But now, of course, we have this slight problem here.
Ha! Told ya!
So we're gonna need some sort of connector. And I don't like how long this is.
I know. They make you uncomfortable.
So we're gonna probably cut this down a little bit.
How about just a tip?
So these boots install real easy. All you have to do, it does help if you put them in the right holes.
Say what now?
But you just slide these over.
What?
Oh, no.
And that's it. That's as far as they go. Let's put this one back where it's supposed to go. So the boots don't make them go on more difficult or anything like that. They still go on real easy.
Really? Nothing.
And this is hopefully just a little more protection from the headers. And they just slide on there.
That's what she said.
Well, delivery's all wrong. He's butchering it.
So they just slide over until you hit the ring.
Oh shit. Here we go again.
Do want to protect things from heat. So we're gonna go ahead and put one of these on here. And there we go. Now it does have springs that attach to hold this in. And we're gonna try to put those on. And those are right here. And there we go. We got one side on at least. I don't think it's going anywhere. So there we go. So this is one of the last pieces of the puzzle. As you can see, this is the turbo downline, and we need to go into our drain hole.
I know what you're trying to do.
We're gonna cut this hose and put it in. I ain't going nowhere. Well, now we all know a lot more about turbo plumbing. I've never done this before, and hopefully you learned a lot along the way with me.
Did not learn anything.
You know, I gotta be honest. If this moron can figure out how to do stuff like this on this old beater, I know you can too.
Oh. Well, that makes sense.
So you should go out there and find that beater that's sitting in the field that you always look at every time you go past, pick it up, put it back on the road, and have some fun.
Do we have to?
Believe me, it's not all about making money and all that stuff you see on other channels.
It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
It's about the love of cars, because this thing's not worth anything, but I'm still doing it because I love it. And you can too. And if you're still watching this video at this point, I know it's because you love cars too. So we're gonna continue to finish up this turbo and get this car back on the road in the next video. I look forward to seeing you there. Have a great one, and I'll see you in the next one.